Today, we're going to talk about how to discern between your thoughts and God's. One of my favorite scriptures is from Isaiah, and it says, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are my ways your ways. As the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways and my thoughts above yours." I love that because it's a reminder that what we think is the way and what we think we're supposed to accomplish or we're supposed to get where we're supposed to get to is not necessarily what God has in store for us. And I believe wholeheartedly that His plans for us are always better than our own. So I wonder, okay, so how do I know? How do I know when my thoughts and my ways are in alignment with God's? And in my spiritual journey, I have learned 3 things that help you discern and identify which ones of your thoughts and ways are God's as well, and which ones are not. So there are 3 things you want to pay attention to. Number 1, God speaks to us by putting things in our minds, by sending an angel who says something and it resonates in a special way, through podcasts, books, inspirations, listening to things or even seeing something in nature that reminds you about something else, right? Like there's so many ways in which God speaks to us. And in order for us to discern if our interpretation of that thing comes from us and our minds and our finite nature or from infinite wisdom, we get to reflect on, number 1, does it impact me emotionally? Does it move me? Sometimes even to tears. Does it excite me in a way that it robs me of my sleep and I can't with the excitement, right? Like, how does this idea that was planted in your heart or your mind affect you emotionally? How does it move you? Usually when God speaks to us, it's not just like, hey, Betsy, I want you to do this. It feels big, it feels exciting, it feels scary sometimes. But it's always packed and full with emotions, and it comes with that feeling of being moved to a point where you can't ignore it. So number 1, does it move you that strongly? Number 2, is it recurrent? Right? Because sometimes God puts something in your mind and you're like, oh, that would be great, but, and then you forget about it, it doesn't come back. Okay, no problem. But when God really wants you to do something, He's a bit annoying and persistent, and He presents it one day, and then He presents it again, and He nudges you, and then He whispers, and then He screams at you, and it gets to the point where it's so present, repeatedly. And He's so insistent that you can't ignore it anymore. So number 1, are you moved emotionally? Number 2, is it repetitive? Does it come up a lot? And number 3, does the idea of never pursuing or trying to do that thing rob you of your peace? Or does the idea of pursuing it give you peace? So whenever there's a decision and whenever we need to discern what comes from God, we need to remember peace, because that's how God speaks to us. And it's the peace that surpasses all understanding. So it may not make sense. It may be scary. It may not be something you want, but you don't have peace unless you pursue it. So if peace is present, or if not doing it robs you of your peace, then you know that those are God's plans for you. And that's the best way of discerning. For me, everything that I do in my business is divinely guided. And recently God put in my heart to start a life coach academy where I could certify and train people in life coaching, but always including God in the center of it. And I remember thinking no, I don't, that's not for me. And I know part of my purpose is to reach as many people as possible and be able to provide with healing and faith and love and a reminder that they are capable of rising above any adversity and succeeding and reaching their greatness. And the way I thought I was gonna do that, reach more people in less time, was through speaking, which I already do. And I was like, okay, this is how I'm gonna do it. That was my way of fulfilling my mission. God's way was through this Life Coach Academy. And when he brought it up, I was like, yeah, that sounds cool and all, but yeah, no. And then it came up again and again. And I spoke to a coach of mine and she brought it up without me mentioning anything. And I heard a podcast and it spoke to me without me like even looking for it. And it was so recurrent and it was repeating itself so much and it was filling me with excitement. And I thought about it, and I've already coached and trained my team in my private practice, so I know I'm really good at this. And I was like, oh my gosh, like it was moving me emotionally. It was repeating itself often and often. And number 3, and most importantly, it got to the point where I just could not have peace ignoring it. But I now have not just peace, I have this joy inside of me and it's this excitement, and I cannot wait to give myself to my students and to give them all I've learned and share with them this God that has transformed my life, and I cannot wait to transform yours. So if you or someone you know feels called to fulfill your purpose, and God's way is not what you had in mind, but rather it could be life coaching, I'm your person, and I am here waiting for you to support you and accompany you in your journey of discerning what God's purpose is for you in your life. If you're curious about it, take a look at our website, bwbcoaching.com, or if you want some support from someone in our team, you can go to betterwithbetsy.com.